Hey, what's up? I'm Technologics, and today we're taking a look at two popular budget iPhones. Which is better, the iPhone 5 or 5C? First off, I do have individual reviews on both of these devices if you're interested. Links will be in the description below. But with that said, let's get right into this. Right away, there are some significant differences that set each phone apart that you're going to notice as soon as you look at it. The iPhone 5 has an aluminum build, and the iPhone 5C has a cheaper plastic one. Which design you like better is obviously a personal preference. Both have their pros and cons. The iPhone 5 is more professional, and the aluminum gives it a very high quality feel. On the other hand, the iPhone 5C plastic does not get dented or scratched nearly as easily from my experience, and it has way more color variations, which will definitely appeal to a lot of people. I personally like the iPhone 5 because of how it looks and feels in my hand, but again, personal preference. The iPhone 5 comes in colors either black and slate or white and silver, while the 5C comes in the colors white, pink, yellow, green, or blue. So right there we can see the 5C is really developed for a certain kind of people who want more, I guess, of a creative aspect with their phone, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would say that's a pretty good thing. The 5C is very slightly thicker and noticeably heavier, but you're not really going to notice too much difference there, so I wouldn't worry about it. Both phones do not have Touch ID, which is kind of a pity, but is understandable. The technology hadn't really been introduced yet when the 5 came out, and the 5C was meant to be a cheaper alternative to the 5S, which had Touch ID. Specification-wise, these devices are extremely similar, with the iPhone 5C being just a bit ahead, I would say. When it comes to processing, they both have Apple's A6 chip and 1GB of RAM, so they're pretty much exactly the same speed on everything. The screens are both 4 inches and have the same resolution of 640 by 1136 and pixel density of 326 ppi. So they're both Retina displays and will look very good. In fact, I'm pretty sure these are the exact same screen. There isn't going to be any blurry text. Everything on the phone is going to look great, can't see pixels, and that's what you want from a phone like this. Camera-wise, the devices are basically the same. You aren't really going to notice any difference in the quality between the two phones. They both have 8 megapixels and can film 1080p at 30 frames per second. Front-facing cameras are only 1.2 megapixels, which isn't great, and can film 720p. The 5C actually did improve on it a bit, adding a backside illumination sensor for better performance in low lighting. I also believe the 5C may have better video stabilization from testing. Other than little things like that though, there's not much to talk about here. The front side camera on the 5C is better, but not by a huge amount. Now, I wasn't able to get any footage with the cameras, unfortunately. I do have 5C footage here, but nothing with the iPhone 5. And the reason for that is because the iPhone 5, I don't own one. I actually do all the testing on my friends, and you know, kind of hard to find time to actually do all this stuff, so I apologize for that, but I really did want to get this video out, and so here we are. It's safe to say the cameras, you're not going to notice any difference. Storage wise, you can get the iPhone 5 in 16, 32, or 64 gigabytes, while with the 5C you can get it in 8, 16, or 32 gigabytes. I would say the iPhone 5 wins here, as the extra storage space of 64 gigabytes can be very helpful, especially if you like to take photos. For the average user, 32 gigabytes is probably more than enough space, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting the 8 gigabytes on the iPhone 5C, mostly because it's so little space, and if you do anything with your phone, like pictures, download anything really, it's not going to be enough. It's just very, very little space you end up with. The iPhone 5C owns a slightly bigger battery with 1510 milliamps, while the iPhone 5 has a 1440 milliamp battery. Honestly, the difference is so small, it's barely worth mentioning, but the 5C battery is a bit better. You will notice it will last a little bit longer. Price-wise, the phones are fairly similar, at least for the 16 gigabyte model. You can find them for about $100 on eBay, and you can find a bit cheaper 8 gigabyte model for the 5C if you want. Again, 8 gigabytes, not a good idea, but it's an option. Both phones will not be able to run iOS 11, at least you shouldn't expect them to. They hold a 32-bit A6 processor, while every successor to the iPhone lineup since the 5C has had a 64-bit processor. This might not mean a lot to you, but it essentially makes it extremely unlikely for Apple to support the phones for another year. Even though the 5C was released a year later, it's mostly the same phone as the iPhone 5, so you can expect it not to get the update. It's possible they could get iOS 11, but it's extremely unlikely. I would be shocked. If only one were to get the update, it would be the iPhone 5C. But again, they're pretty much the same phones, so I really just can't see that happening. Alright, that was a quick run over both phones. Again, if you'd like more information, links to the individual reviews will be down in the description below. But the question has not yet been answered. Which phone is better? First, to summarize the differences, there are very few, at least internally. The iPhone 5C is a little bit bigger and heavier than its predecessor. The 5C is a complete design overhaul, moving it to a very good quality plastic instead of the sleek aluminum found on the iPhone 5. It also offers much more color options. There is no 64GB version of the 5C, and there is no 8GB version of the 5. Other than that, these are basically the same phones. So which should you buy? Honestly, whichever you think looks better. If these are the two phones that you're considering getting, pick the one you think looks the coolest. If you're looking at this from a purely financial standpoint, I would guess that the iPhone 5 will retain value better due to the fact that much fewer of them were made than the 5C. So there's that. But that's all. Not really anything else to say there. Just really want to add this in. I know I said it in both of my reviews, which you've probably seen one of them at this point, but I don't recommend buying either of these phones. And that's not because they're not nice phones. They are, and if you have one right now, that's great. That'll probably work for you. It's because they're too old at this point. I, again, be shocked if they got iOS 11. It's not going to happen, I'm pretty sure. And most people, I would say, in the tech community would agree with me there. Not just that, but if you're looking for a phone this size, the iPhone SE is just so much of a better option. And at the moment of uploading this, I do not have a review on the iPhone SE, but I do plan to do that in hopefully the next few weeks. It's really hard to say at this point, but if I do have one of those already, it'll be down in the description below. So there's that to look forward to, I guess. But that's all I got to say today. I hope this helped, or at least you enjoyed the video. And if so, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more tech content. Which iPhone do you prefer, the 5 or the 5C? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.